I'm just gonna film my shirt because I don't feel like filming my face, and the books are what's really important about the video anyways. So, I'm not a big reader at all, so my New Year's goal is to read at least one book a month, and just after looking at like other book YouTubers, I started watching them like this in January. So, one book a month is like nothing, but I got into the Mass Effect novels, and now I'm starting with the Dragon Age ones because I really love the video games. And I really do recommend reading those novels if you're into the games that much, because it really does, that you see more into that world. But the Mass Effect novels I've read months ago. So, starting off with the first Dragon Age novel I read in December, and it's before the first game. And the second book, which I read this month, January, it starts off kind of like where the first one left off. So they're both before the first game. So I love these books, and I started a Goodreads account. So on there, I gave them a 5-star. I really loved the characters. What's different about them from why the Mass Effect novels I've just read so fast, and why I kind of was nervous about starting these, was because these are characters I don't really know about except for Logan, who's the villain in the game. But since these are like random characters I don't really care about in the game at all, I was a little late to starting them, because with the Mass Effect one, it's about Anderson, and we love him. So yeah, he's really likable, the king, or the person who's trying to be king. And it just shows like how he got his throne, and you get to see this other side of Logan from the game. He's just like this douchebag who's just an annoying, evil guy. But in the book, you get to see how he got his reputation, and it's just because I actually did like him in the novel. Um, so yeah, and then this one, it just shows how a little bit more about the architect, and how they were getting the signs of like the first, I mean not the first, but a new blight starting, and you learn about young Duncan. You get to see how he was when he was young, and it was really interesting. So I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the books. And it was really fun because I don't really like reading fantasy, but for Dragon Age, I'll give an exception too. And then next that I read this month was the Mass Effect comic, like 500 or 400 pages of it, so it's not like a thin little thing. So it did take me like over 2 hours to read it, because yeah, I wanted to pay attention to it. I don't just fly by, even though it's a comic. And yeah, I really do recommend it. If you love Mass Effect, it really does show more into like what happened. This one, it shows how they found Commander Shepard's body for the second game to start, and it shows Arya, like how did she lose Omega for like the third game. You find out that she lost it, and then there's that DLC we can help get her back. So it really does show that that guy that took it from her, that Cerberus guy, he's not all that. He really does have a code, and like playing it again, I think I'm gonna hate him less, because he really was like Cerberus. I hate Cerberus, but he's like one of the exceptions. I actually like him. And then it shows Liaria helping get Shepard's body and everything. Then it shows how the Elusive Man became the Elusive Man. So yeah, I really do recommend this if you love the Mass Effect companions and just the other characters in the story. Actually, I don't really like the Elusive Man, but I still found his story very interesting. He was like there on Shang-Chi fighting the Turians when they met the Turians. So, yeah, it was really interesting. So, obviously, I gave that a 5-star. I don't understand people who love Mass Effect and then go on there and just give it like a 3-star because Shepard isn't in it. Of course, Shepard's not going to be in it. So the next book that I read this month that I really liked, I gave it a 5-star, is The Perfectionists. And it's a really, really good book. I really like the way it's written. I like all the characters. All the characters are really interesting, all the main ones. It's about these girls who want to get back at this asshole guy in their school that's like really popular, but he's popular because his family's like rich and important. He's not popular because everybody likes him. It's like they have to be on his good side if they want to have a good high school year. And all these girls have a reason to hate him. Like one of the girls, her brother was bullied by him, so her brother committed suicide. This other girl used to date him, then when she dumped him, he spread rumors about her. And another girl, he asked for nudes, and she thought he really liked her, but he just ended up blackmailing her with those nudes. So they all have pretty good reasons to hate this guy. So in class, they were talking about, like, if we could kill him, how do we get away with it? And, so what they end up doing is just drugging him and then writing on his face and taking a picture of it and then post it online. So, just to humiliate him. So that's all they want to do. And it turns out, like, he ends up dead and killed in the way they had talked about, but they didn't actually do it. They just wanted to humiliate him instead. And it's just them trying to prove their innocence, trying to find out who actually killed them. And they were in class talking about this. Like, obviously they weren't shouting, but they're like whispers, but it's like someone must have heard them and decided to kill that guy instead to kind of frame them that they did it. Because obviously everyone in school doesn't like this guy, but they pretend to like him. So that's what the book's about. It's about, like, who actually killed him. Was it one of the girls and they lied, or was it someone else that had heard them? And, yeah, I really like it. I like the way it's written. There's obviously a second book, so if you read it and it ends the way it ends, it's like, there's a second book. It's a continuation. So, when I went on Goodreads to give it the rating of a 5-star, and I went to go order the second book, there was someone in the reviews saying that this book sucked because there was no conclusion and you don't ever get to find out anything. And people replied to it saying, "Oh, thanks for the heads up. I would have bought this and been so angry to find that out myself." And it's so stupid. There's obviously a second book. It's not finished. Had a rant about that. It's just people are so fucking dumb. So yeah, there's the second book, and I'm reading it this month, and I can't wait to find out, because I have a few guesses who the killers are, but I really have no idea. I have no idea. It's not that obvious. So, yeah, I can't wait. So then, starting with the books I hated this month, I'll start off with Attack on Titan, this visual novel, before the fall. And it's so bad. If you read this, read it in manga form. I'm pretty sure it's way more better. This person, whoever wrote this, is not a writer. They're not a writer. It sucks. It's interesting to find out how the gear was made, but not in visual novel form. It's not. So yeah, I should have just got the manga, because this really bad writing. Really bad. It's so boring. I almost just dropped it, but I had to, I skimmed most of it later on. I did not, it was bleh. And the last book I read this month and hated, and I, after chapter 40 or 50, I just skipped all the way to the fucking end to find out to find out whatever it was. So it was The Weekenders, and like I did at the beginning of the book, for me to read all 40 chapters, obviously I was very interested at first. It's about this woman who's waiting by the dock, I think. She's waiting for her husband, she's with her family, her daughter, and she's waiting for her husband, but he never shows up. So the whole book is about, like, why didn't he show up, and what was he doing, what happened. So that's what the book's about. And it just takes forever to answer some of these questions, because in some of the chapters it's like it tells you her relaxing day, like her just taking a day to not find out anything, but just to spend time with her daughter or her friends or her family. And it's like, why write about that? I don't care. Write about the mystery of the book. That's what I care about. And then, like, reading more and more about it, like, she seemed less like an adult and more like a teenager. Her and her friend, they were just so eye-rolling, cringy. They just try to act too much like young people. I guess it could kind of get away with it because they're kind of like a rich family, so maybe that's why they can act so immature like that, but I didn't like it. I don't like how she's a mother, and she tries to act like a teenager with her best friend. It was weird. It was annoying. So yeah, like later on, I didn't have a problem with the daughter. I think she acted like a typical teenage 13-year-old. I read in some of the reviews that people really hated the daughter because they said that she was really bratty and bitchy, but it's like, she's a teenager. That's not something to fault the book over. What they really should do is, like, fault for, like, how the characters just don't seem realistic. The only realistic character was the daughter. Everyone else was just, they were trying to be funny and sassy, and it was just so stupid. And then when I read the ending to find out the answer was stupid. I hated it. It was so dumb. It just seemed like this would be, actually it wouldn't be a Lifetime, it'd be like a cheap little comedy, actually. So I didn't like it. Don't get it. So yep, this is all the books that I read this month. Well, actually this one was in December, but it goes with this one. So yeah, I'm gonna start reading more this year. Hopefully I get into books. I really did that goal just to find out if I would like reading, or maybe I only liked some reading because I liked the games. So this year I'm just gonna find out if I'm a reader or not. So yeah.